Full Mechanics Gundam Vidar. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video we have the Full Mechanics ASW GXX Gundam Vidar. Released in December of 2016, this kit is part of the IBO Full Mechanics line. And as we quickly take a look at the box, and in traditional Bandai manner, we have a pretty good box art of the Vidar. And as we take a look at the side of the box, we have a small showcase of the Vidar's weapons, and a display of the model kit in a static full body pose. On the other side we see the Vidar in some nice poses, as well as highlighting the mechanical details, the inner frame, and some gimmicks. Full Mechanics might be a step down from Master Grades, however based on appearance and details, they're not that far off. Unfortunately, same cannot be said about the quality. And if you never built a kit from this line before, chest piece falling off. This piece is going to fall a lot. The Full Mechanics kit from the IBO series tend to fall apart. Granted, when I originally built the kit, it wasn't like this, so as time progressed, it just got loose. The joints so far are pretty good, however the small little pieces that attaches to it, like the thrusters and this little white piece right here, just fall off. And those are the smaller, easier to put back parts. I didn't even mention the chest and shoulder pauldrons. Fuck man. It's a complete headache of a kit to work with. So unless you like the appearance, don't get this kit. Which is a shame because this kit looks absolutely amazing. I already love the IBO designs. The suits in those series are so unique. And the Gundam Vidar is no exception. Piloted by Gaelio Baldwin and appearing in the second season of Iron-Blooded Orphans, the Vidar acts as one of the antagonist mobile suits, however, its appearance on the show doesn't last that long. Which is a huge shame because the Gundam looks so sick. Fortunately though, if you like the kit, you can get it in the model kit form. And thankfully it looks as good as its anime adaptation. If you can disregard the hand grenade aspect of the kit, it's a good kit. Really easy to build, very few stickers, and the ones you do use, you cover it up. So they're pointless. And the end result is a good looking kit, with a good amount of panel lining opportunities. And yes, I already fully panel lined this kit, and it breaks up the blue really well. And on taking a closer look at the kit, there's some very nice surface level detail molded onto the plastic. Also being an IBO design, there's lots of mechanical parts that's shown throughout the kit, such as the exposed piping on his forearms, and hydraulics in his midsection, just to name a few. And there's many more exposed mechanical parts that can be found throughout the kit, just further making me love this design. I would definitely recommend a good old paint job to highlight those parts. Nice color combination with the black and the blue, they contrast really well. Never seen a Gundam in that color combination before, and with the super sleek design, very eye-catching. Overall, just a very good looking kit. So, let's move on to the articulation. Alrighty, like always, let's begin with the head. Pretty decent movement for the head to go side to side. Decent up and down head tilt, with a very minimal neck extension. And the head could easily perform a 360 rotation. Moving down to the shoulders. Unfortunately, the shoulder cannot internally or externally rotate. The shoulder pauldrons are able to move up and down. However, the connection is loose and it tends to come off, and it can get quite frustrating. The movement on the pauldron is actually separate from the arm itself, and because of this it stops the arm from 360ing if it's pointed all the way out. However, when pointed out to the side, a 360 rotation is no issue. Also, the shoulder pauldrons has an armor flap, which is also able to move. As for basic arm movement, the entirety of the arm could abduct this far up, though the joint is quite stiff, but because it's a Full Mechanics kit, it might get loose over time. The upper part of the arm has a 360 bicep swivel, excellent elbow bend, and there's some nice mechanical details in there. And coming down to the hands, we have a 360 rotation, with a very limiting flexion and extension of the wrist. Moving towards the torso, there is limited side-to-side bending, and due to the two hydraulics on the side here, which is very nice to see, it can't do a full torso rotation. However, due to the skinny waist, it has a very good ab crunch, and a relatively good back extension. Also, I want to point out that it's pretty cool that the hydraulic pistons can move out and in. I love the extra details that goes into the IBO designs. Super cool to see and fun to play with. Now turning this around, we got two thruster units. They are attached to the backpacks on a ball joint, so they have some decent rotational movement. And reminding you again, these pieces fall out all the time. Also, this thruster on the back is able to move up and down, and yes, it squeaks. Moving down to the skirts, let's look at the side skirts first, because they're huge. Looking very similar to the omnidirectional mobility gear from Attack on Titans. The top and bottom thruster parts are able to move out. Also very cool gimmick, the whole thing is able to slide. Not sure the entire point of this, but it's pretty cool. And if you watch the anime, this stores all the replacement explosive sabers. Just letting you know, don't flip the kit upside down or else the sabers will fall out. Coming along to the front where the front skirts are, They are attached to the waist unit through a ball joint, and also they act as the gun holsters for the pistols. And the pistols are held there pretty securely. And finally, when we turn it around, the back skirts could just hinge up and down. Alrighty, now for some articulation on the legs, starting with the splits. And as you can see, excellent spread. Continuing on, the leg can kick this far up, and this far back. And as stated earlier, watch out, those blades can fall out. Same could be said about these stupid thrusters. Due to the design of the leg, the upper thigh cannot do a full 360. Here's the leg fully extended and fully bent. Just because of the design of the leg, not that great of a knee bend. In contrast though, the ankle mobility is very good. Excellent inversion and eversion of the ankle. The same can be said for the dorsiflexion, as well as the toe point. And while we're down here, the foot has some cool stuff to it. I present to you the Hunter's Edge, a close combat weapon on his feet. They are made up of two extendable blades, one from the back of his ankle, and the other one's connected to the front of his foot. That's a cool feature right there, some bladed kicking action. Love me a robot that has some knives on his legs. Okay, with articulation out of the way, let's take a look at the accessories. First up, we got a pair of holding hands. Pretty generic hands, used to hold up all his weapons. We also have another set of holding hands, pretty much identical to the other set, however it does not have the blue backing behind it. And lastly for hands, we have a pair of open fingers. Alrighty, moving on to the important things, the weapons. Here we have the hilt for the burst saber. Pretty simple design, nothing too crazy. However, like the one in the anime, it has interchangeable blades, or I should say, replacement blades, stored right up on the side armor. And to attach a blade, just stick it around the hole. That's what she said. Up to 6 blades can be stored up on the side armor. Quite an interesting design. To have disposable napalm explosive blades, kinda counterintuitive if you ask me, if you have a close range weapon and then you suddenly just make it explode and, you know, whatever, it's cool, I guess. To attach it, you gotta disassemble the holding hands, then line up the peg on the sword right into the slot of the hand, then reattach the other half of the hand, then stick that sucker right in. Put it in a cool fencing pose and there you have it. Despite the burst saber not looking anything spectacular, the replacement blade gimmick is pretty cool. And because it's attached to the hand, pretty solid connection. Alrighty, next to the long range portion, here we have the 110mm rifle. Like the saber, simple in design. Pretty much an all gray rifle, minus the little pink sticker I put on the lens. And you definitely need to panel line this. The overall silhouette of the gun looks pretty good, however it's just plain gray and boring. But at least equipping it is pretty easy. You just take the handle and just slide it through the hand. Despite being a pretty boring looking gun, it looks pretty good with the Vidar. Imagine if you painted the gun though. And like the saber, solid connection. And lastly we have the pistols, hidden right behind the front skirts. They just slot right into that bread piece. A very cool design. The pistol design is somewhat more detailed than the other weapons. Definitely has more texture on it, however it's hard to tell because it's all dark gray. And to equip it, it functions similar to the rifle. Just take the handle and slide it through the hand. Now this is pretty fun to pose with. You got some gunslinging action. However, the pistols look kinda small. But I digress. This kit is an all-around amazing poser. Very fun to play around with. If you could just overlook, you know, random parts falling off. And speaking of parts falling off, let's try to make parts fall off. This kit has definitely gotten flimsy over time. Yep. As you can see, parts are gonna fall off. I'm surprised it held up better in this test though. It constantly fell off when I was just working with it. Well, the test is done. Let's do a size comparison. First up here it is next to an entry grade RX-78-2. Being a 1/100, it towers over the 1/144 scale Grandpa Gundam, but not so much bigger than the real grade Sazabi, which of course is a monster in its own right. Next up here it is next to the previous reviewed Master Grade Dynamis. This is my eternal pose for the Dynamis, so it's gonna be a little shorter looking, but I can assure you they're close to the same height. Next up we got the Master Grade MK2, high-end Master Model Genobreaker, loving the color contrast. Then we got Haro, DK, Doraemon, Egbert, and the Floating Bulb. Being a 1/100 and also having a unique color palette, it definitely stands out a bit, so it has a pretty decent shelf presence. Okay, that being said, what are my final thoughts for this kit? I'll bring up the negatives first. As stated earlier, shit falls off. I had to actually sticky tack a lot of the parts on just to avoid the headache. I'm also aware that the joints on the IBO frames do get loose over time, but mine have not yet, but I feel like I should point that out. If you're willing to overlook that, this kit is pretty good. The articulation is average, but you can still pull off a lot of cool poses, and despite the weapons looking a little plain, it still gives you a good variety of them. And pretty much no matter what pose you put them in, The Vidar looks really good in all of them. It's an easy and fun build. The end result is a good looking kit, and if you're willing to put the extra effort, putting in some panel lining and maybe a little bit of painting, it'll make this kit look even better. However, if you don't want to, a straight build will look just fine. Also, if you're not going to paint this kit, I recommend you gluing the loose pieces, and maybe down the road, tighten up the joints. All that being said, would I recommend this kit? For a beginner, no. However, if you really like the appearance, yeah, sure, go ahead. That's why I bought him. Hey, thanks for watching my videos. I hope you like it. I enjoy making it. Let me know what you think. If you disagree with anything I said, let me know why. I truly love this kit. It was a big headache to work with. And in that, it shares a lot of similarities to Zoid kits. Just plastic hand grenades. Thanks again for watching my videos. Take care. Bye.